Discord wants your government ID and biometric data, and they're asking for it after already losing user trust very recently. Shockingly, people aren't thrilled. If you live under a rock, or just have a normal life, you may not have heard the juicy details, so here's the rundown. Now, Discord released a press statement on February 9th. I'm just going to read what they have stated here. It basically says, Discord is announcing enhanced teen safety features rolling out globally that reinforce its long-standing commitment to creating a safer and more inclusive experience for users over the age of 13. As part of this update, all new and existing users worldwide will have a teen-appropriate experience by default, with updated communication settings, restricted access to age-gated spaces, and content filtering that preserves the privacy and meaningful connections that define Discord. Okay, that sounds like, a decent step in the right direction. If the user's under 13, yeah, we should probably block them from any content that they shouldn't be seeing. But get this. Beginning with a phased global rollout to new and existing users in early March, users may be required to engage in an age verification process to change certain settings or access sensitive content. This includes age-restricted channels, servers, or commands, and select message requests. So basically, everyone is going to have to verify their age, not just the accounts whose birthdays are set to younger age. Continuing on, age assurance is the foundation of this new experience and is designed to respect Discord users' privacy and choice. Discord users can choose to use facial age estimation or submit a form of identification to its vendor partners. We'll touch on that in a second, with more options coming in the future. Additionally, Discord will implement its age inference model, a new system that runs in the background to help determine whether an account belongs to an adult, without always requiring users to verify their age. Some users may be asked to use multiple methods if more information is needed to assign an age group. Key privacy protections of Discord's age assurance approach include on-device processing. Video selfies for facial age estimation never leave a user's device, is the claim. Quick deletion. Identity documents submitted to our vendor partners are deleted quickly, in most cases immediately after age confirmation. We'll touch on that in a second here as well. In most cases, users complete the process once and their Discord experience adapts to their verified age group. Users may be asked to use multiple methods only when more information is needed to assign an age group. A user's age verification status cannot be seen by other users. Okay. Here's the kicker. We're going to move straight down into the default safety settings. Starting in early March, all new and existing Discord users globally will be assigned new default settings that support age-appropriate experiences while keeping privacy front and center. Discord users will need to be age-assured as adults in order to unblur sensitive content or turn off the setting. Age-gated spaces. Only users who are age-assured as adults will be able to access age-restricted channels, servers, and app commands. Direct messages from people a user may not know are routed to a separate inbox by default, and access to modify this setting is limited to age-assured adult users. People will receive warning prompts for friend requests from users that they may not know. Only age-assured adults may speak on stage in servers. Last year, Discord successfully launched a teen by default experience in the UK and Australia, and this global rollout builds on that approach to deliver consistent, age-appropriate protections worldwide. What does this mean? It's a big statement, right? And there's a bit more after it too, where they're starting a council of teenagers to basically keep Discord in touch with the youth, I guess, in what they are craving and needing in digital online space where they can connect with other teenagers. I'm not really here to comment on that part. I kind of just want to go over this first part of the statement because this is a pretty big change that's going to affect a lot of people, myself included. Now, I think child safety is of utmost importance, okay? But I think that I disagree with where that responsibility lies. I think the responsibility lies with the parents. And I know that I hear excuses a lot of times like, well, children are just more tech savvy than their parents. They're going to find ways around, the constraints that their parents put in place. But I don't really think that's a great excuse personally. I'm not here to tell anybody how to parent their child, right? And I think that that's the beauty of this, right? Is that I'm on the internet saying what I want to say, right? Because that's what it's for, right? What it should be for. It should be a freedom of speech and expression. But if your kid is sneaking out in the middle of the night because you didn't know that there was a latch on their window, right? I don't think it's an excuse for you to just let that happen or let somebody else handle it, right? I think that's still, falls under your wheelhouse as a parent. But that's just me, right? Ultimately, I think that the features that they're putting in place are pretty lackluster when it comes to the protection of children anyways. And I don't really think Discord is the platform for children. And I know that this is mainly about teenagers, but ultimately, I think that the responsibility of deciding what their child is ready to see and not see, and who their child's able to hang out with and not hang out with, I think all of that falls on the parent, personally. But if we move on from that, right, then it begs the question of, well, who's this for then, right? And I think it's pretty obvious who's the most to benefit from collecting data such as biometrics and government IDs. I'll give you 3 seconds with the Jeopardy music. It's probably Discord, right? Yeah. Which leads me to the reason that I find this announcement to be so bold. If we look at Discord's own site, we can see that just a couple of months ago, they had, well, not them. They really want to clarify that it was not them that had this data breach. However, it was the vendor that they chose to work with. The vendor that they chose to handle private information, including government IDs, okay? So they list what data was involved, okay? And there's a list, and at the very, very bottom, there's this little bullet point that says, the unauthorized party also gained access to a small number of government ID images. What they don't say is that that number could be 70,000, which is what was listed, in most news articles and headlines. I've seen some stuff that say it could be more, but I couldn't find anything too substantial on whether that's true or not. So I'm just going to go with 70,000 because that's an insane number, right? Especially since they just started this, last year, right? They just started this age verification in Australia and the UK last year, I believe. Yeah, looks like they just started this very recently in the Australia and the UK, which is why it's very ironic to me that they say in their announcement of the feature rolling out to the US as well, that they say right at the end of this announcement, last year, Discord successfully launched a teen by default experience in the UK and Australia. And this global rollout builds on that approach to deliver consistent, age-appropriate protections worldwide. In my opinion, having 70,000 pieces of identification, whether that be the government IDs or not. I couldn't find information on whether they were all government IDs, but there were definitely government IDs in there that were leaked. Would not call that a success, okay? And obviously this wasn't Discord, right? This was the vendor that they chose to work with. But if you remember, right, we can look at what they just said regarding verification of identification. It says, identity documents submitted to our vendor partners are deleted quickly, in most cases immediately after age confirmation. Now, this is a problem statement overall, I think, because not only are they also working with another vendor, they're still not taking responsibility for it, which is fine, right? You don't have to take responsibility for these documents, but given the track record of your choosing of vendor partners, seems like it's a bit of a tough pill to swallow to ask for our trust again. But also the fact that it says in most cases, it is such a non-committal statement that it's like, how do you prove that? What's the quantifiable most cases, right? So they say that they don't store it, right? But they can't guarantee that their vendor doesn't, right? Because it just says in most cases it'll be deleted. What about in those other cases? Who knows? Now, even if you don't care too much about your privacy online, your government-issued identity documents leaking or being stolen is still a very big deal, right? So I think that personally, everybody should be a bit concerned about the ask from Discord that if they request further identification, given if they can't prove your age with the AI filter, or you submitted Dr. Kleiner from Gary's Mod as your model, and they request your government ID to match, it's either you stay in the age gate or you provide them with your government ID, right? Now you might be asking yourself, okay, well, what makes Discord think they can get away with this? And I would ask the same thing. I think it's probably because they have a little bit of a monopoly on the specific social app market that they are in, right? There's not really another app that does exactly what Discord does. There's a lot of options that do very close to what Discord does, but Discord's been established for a very long time now, right? It's not like you could just pick up all your bags and move them somewhere else, right? They're kind of stuck on Discord, which is unfortunate. It feels like they think they might be a little bit untouchable at the moment, and unfortunately, they might be right. Now, let me clarify. I love Discord, right? I don't know much about them as a company, but the product itself, I like. I've used it forever. I have so many memories on it. I've established communities on it that I'm a part of. Communities, which, by the way, have channels that I won't be able to join unless I verify my age. I'm talking like I'm part of a military channel, right? That has an 18+ channel for the Marines, which is the branch that I was in previously. It's like, yeah, of course, it's 18+ because they're Marines, right? But I'm not gonna be able to communicate in that channel unless I verify my identity according to what they say here, because it's an 18+ channel. Doesn't mean there's anything crazy going on in there. It just means that there's been an age restriction put in place, right? So unless I provide my government ID to them now, or a facial scan, my biometric data, I just can't communicate in that channel now. I just want to say I like Discord a lot. I'm very involved in it, and I want them to succeed is the thing. But when you make stupid decisions like this, it's really hard to defend something, right? Which is why I'm not. It's why I'm saying that we should put our feet down as users, right? We should say, this is my data, this is my identity. I'm not going to just give it to you for free, especially when you clearly can't be trusted with it, as evidenced by the vendor partners you choose to work with, right? I also want to clarify that this is not a Discord issue, right? Discord is just the guy that's easy to pick on right now. This is something that's been kind of floating around in the online and corporate worlds for a while. If you look at the EU, especially, they're really cracking down on internet safety. They say it's for the children, right? But ultimately, they're just collecting a lot of data, right? Like maybe it is, maybe it's had an effect. I don't know. I haven't done that research, but I do know that there's a lot of data being collected, right, on people. So as the online world moves closer to less and less privacy and more having your identity tied to everything you've ever done on the internet. And I think ultimately, if we don't establish boundaries with who we're willing to give our data to and who we're willing to give our identities to, ultimately we will just become commodities online, right? We won't have places where we can openly express ourselves. We will just have this persona that all of the companies have and are able to successfully market to, you know, ensure that we only see the advertisements that are absolutely most pertinent at that moment, right? Very valuable, but kind of a horror movie, if you ask me. Maybe we can bully Discord, right? Like maybe if people cancel their nitros, maybe if people, you know, decide to use something else, maybe it'll do something. Probably not, let's be honest. But what I think is that if I can speak and get you to care just a little bit more about your privacy online, then hey, I've done something, right? And I'll even show you, there's a couple of alternatives I've been looking at for Discord. They're gonna be a bit harder to set up, some more than others, but you have things like TeamSpeak, right? TeamSpeak's been around forever. If you were a gamer back in the day, you've probably used it before. And yes, it is still around and you can still go set that up. You can self-host it, right? You can host it on a cloud server if you just wanna rent a computer to put it through. And if you want to get into even more complicated arrays where you're of self-hosting or anything like that, you can pretty much host anything. So there's a lot of options out there for it. And I highly recommend you check out what those options might look like if you care about what's going on right now. It's a dark day. It's a bit disturbing, to say the least, but we'll see how it plays out. We'll see if Discord decides to walk it back. I know they've received some pretty crazy backlash over this. So that's enough of me blabbering. I just heard about this today and thought I had to get my 2 cents out there. What are your guys' thoughts on Discord's newest decision? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thank you so very much for being here. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.